Hi friends, it's Tia Severino coming to you live in Beaufort, Georgia. Today I have some vaccine injury stories to share with you. This is part of our series that we're doing in conjunction with the Georgia Coalition for Vaccine Choice. And what we're doing is we're collecting Georgia stories of vaccine injury, unvaccinated and thriving, and healthcare providers here in the state of Georgia. We're collecting these stories right now specifically because going into the new year with the new legislative body in the state of Georgia, we're going to be pushing for some legislature. We've got, I think, 3 bills that we're trying to push forward, and so these stories are to help educate our legislators about the very real problem of vaccine injury here in the state of Georgia. So I'm really excited to bring to you this lovely mom. Her name is Lauren. I'm going to turn the camera around and I'm going to let you, because I know you'd rather see her than me. So I'm going to turn the camera around and she is going to talk to us about her family. So here we go. All right. Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
So just to start off, if you could let the peeps know what your name is, and if you could, we'd like to start off by asking you what it was like when you were growing up, what your thoughts were about vaccines before you became a mom. Were you vaccinated yourself? And so what was your experience growing up with vaccines? So introduce yourself.
I'm Lauren Colon. I'm a native of Atlanta, one of the few left. I was raised in a family that had initially not a very natural mindset with healthcare. I was very sickly as a child, almost died when I was 6 from pneumonia that they just couldn't treat, and so I was in and out of hospitals every month. And when I was about 11, we switched to naturopathic care, and from that point on, I was no longer sick, was no longer in and out of hospitals. It just kind of changed my life for the better. And then my mom, when she was investigating naturopathic care, she really kind of just dove in, as most people do when you start discovering natural lifestyles. And so I was the weird kid in school that wasn't allowed to drink diet drinks, that wasn't allowed to drink anything with aspartame, or, people looked at me like I was crazy, but now we know better. Mm-hmm. So, don't fall. So yeah, it really kind of started from when I was about 12 years old on, that natural mindset was what took over our lives. So when I became pregnant with my son 5 years ago, I was already questioning vaccines.
So were you vaccinated?
I was vaccinated, yes. Up until, probably six years old.
So around the time your mom started exploring the natural pathic.
About the time that I got really, really sick. That's when everything stopped.
And when you were growing up, what are we talking about? Maybe 5 or 6 vaccines at most?
Maybe. I mean, I haven't seen my vaccine records, but based on what was recommended at that point, it couldn't have been any more than, 5 or 6.
Okay.
So it's, things have changed quite a bit, as we know.
So when you got pregnant with your son, did you already have in your mind that you were questioning vaccines?
Absolutely. My husband and I talked a lot while I was pregnant. He was very pro-vaccine. Mm-hmm. I was very much questioning, and
She dropped
her toy.
Of course.
Can I grab that real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Oh. Here you go, Lena. So he was questioning. Sorry.
No, we love the kids. Yeah, you cutie.
I decided I wanted to do no vaccinations. He wanted to do some, so we agreed on a delayed schedule.
Okay.
And we looked through several different versions of delayed schedules, found one that worked for us, so we thought. And we knew at birth I wanted as natural of a birth as possible, no interventions, and that didn't happen. So I had a very unsupportive medical team with me, and we did hold off all birth vaccinations, which was good. No vitamin K, no Hep B, but he was vaccinated at 2 months, and then again at 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9. And
Months.
Months, yes.
Because you were trying to spread them out,
You're
right?
spreading them out, so he was getting one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And
And they
thinking-
probably said, well, you're just making it harder on him.
Exactly.
You gotta keep coming back.
That was, why are you sticking him every single month? Just get it all over with. And that didn't sit right with me. There's no way that that's not overloading his body. And he was developing normally. By 6 months old, he was feeding himself with a spoon quite proficiently. By 8 months, he was talking, saying mama, dad, dad, bye-bye, night-night. He was there. He was playing with us and was playing with toys and engaging. He would make eye contact. 9 months, he was given a dose of DTaP, and that's when everything changed. So he...
Was that his first dose of DTaP?
No, it was his third dose. He wasn't supposed to receive DTaP that time, but the nurse messed up, and so we ended up with 2 months in a row of DTaP. It's going to make me cry just thinking about it. So at 9 months, he received that dose. That night, he began having seizures. And for the next several weeks, had about a dozen a day, where he would just be sitting there, his body would go stiff, his eyes would roll in the back of his head, and he would just start trembling. And when I called his pediatrician, she said, oh no, what you're describing isn't a seizure, and even if it was, it's completely normal. She refused to see him. Hey, sit with me. Sit with me. Don't be cranky. She refused to see him or acknowledge what was going on. And we were living in South Carolina at the time, in a smaller town, so that's not good.
Oh. I can't let you do that. I can't let you do that. I know.
My daughter's going crazy.
I can't let you do that.
Linda.
You can't. She wants to tear up the this
office.
fake flower pot.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Hey,
I just don't want to make a big mess in here.
Luna, come here.
Erica,
She's supposed to be my
grab
easy
these,
one.
please. Baby's trying to tear them apart.
Luna.
Keep going. Don't worry about her. There's
Um,
nothing else she can mess with.
Okay. So after we went through 3 weeks of seizures every day, they finally started mellowing out, and we tried to get him into a neurologist, but without a referral in that town that we were living in, nobody would see us, and because his pediatrician wouldn't acknowledge it, we couldn't get a referral. So,
So, let's just go back one quick second. Now, after the DTaP, your son started having this seizure. Did your doctor or anyone else along the line ever suggest to you that this could be a vaccine injury?
no.
So, was it reported to VAERS, the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting
It
System?
was not, and in fact, I was the one who brought up that it was brought on by vaccines, and when I said that, they instantly became defensive and refused to acknowledge any of it. And then from that point on, I decided, like, no more. My husband then all of a sudden realized how crazy all of this was, and he decided no more. And then over the next 6 months, I refused to vaccinate anymore, and then we got kicked out of the practice. Oh goodness, Luna.
I know. I said there wasn't anything else that you could tear up in here, but
challenged
I
that, didn't
was
she?
wrong. Do you know what this is? Do you know who this guy is? Let me show you who that. Do you know who that guy is? Let me show you something. Let's see. See if our peeps know who that. Hey, does anybody know who that guy is? That's Jim Carrey, and this is our little photo book from the March. Green your vaccines. That's what the baby is playing with.
Just found another one.
She found another one. But you know what? Let me just make sure there's nothing terrible over here. Go for it. Keep talking.
So,
yes, you silly girl.
So nothing was ever reported to VAERS. We ended up staying with that pediatric practice for another 6 months or so because we didn't have any choices. And
No? Okay.
after the seizures, after his 9 month DTaP, he then lost all speech that he had gained. He quit talking to us. He quit playing with toys. He quit looking at us. He could no longer feed himself with a spoon. And we knew something really bad was happening. That's a ball.
Ball. Football.
But there again, we weren't acknowledged.
Yes, ball.
Very good, ball.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
No, you are not. Do not apologize. Keep going.
So by
Look, Mama.
18 months, the pediatricians were noting that there were developmental delays, whereas prior to that, they had said he was right on track. We tried to get him into the South Carolina equivalent of Babies Can't Wait, and then there again, we were denied. We were told he's not severe enough, that it's not enough of an issue, and I kept telling him, like, this is an issue. He's not the kid he was, and he's declining rapidly. So after that, we decided it's time to move back to Atlanta, where there's more resources, where we can get life on track for him. And that's where we've been, just getting him in therapies and getting him in every intervention possible.
And how old is he now?
He's 4 now, and he's just in the last 6 months started to talk to us again. Oh my God, this child. She's supposed to be my easy one.
Oh no, they didn't tell you about neurotypical children that have intact nervous systems? Oh, you thought it would be easier? Oh, no. They are supposed to be inquisitive and exploratory. No, she's fine. If she starts ripping pages out of the book, then we'll stop her.
Yeah.
But no, she can't really hurt anything in here. We have kids in and out of this place all day long.
All right.
Hey, there you go.
Have the ball.
That's a Packers ball. You know who the Green Bay Packers are? Football. Look, let's just get it. Look at ball. What's her name?
Luna. This is Luna. She's 13 months old, completely unvaccinated, and as healthy as they get.
Yep. That's what happens when you don't muck around with what God's created.
Exactly. And she was the easiest
she's
labor
fine.
delivery.
I wouldn't even worry about her. Like I said, if she starts tearing pages out of books or climbing the bookshelf, then worry. Well, okay, so let's go back with your son.
Yeah.
So has he, since you obviously stopped vaccinating, right, after that last DTaP, does he still have seizures?
He does. He has, we think that he's having like silent seizures, but he's also in the last 4 or 5 months started having more, what you think of when you're having seizures, more convulsive seizures. So we have a neurology appointment next week. So hopefully we'll get some answers finally. But it's taken 3 years for us to be able to get to see a neurologist. I mean, they have not made it easy to have anybody acknowledge what we've been going through. And in fact, more people are dismissing.
And does he have an autism diagnosis now?
He does have an autism diagnosis that came in May. Prior to that, he was again evaluated and people were saying, no, he's not bad enough.
So wait a minute. The increase in autism is due to better diagnosis.
Yeah, so you would think that he would have been diagnosed early on, but there again...
No VAERS report.
No VAERS report, no diagnosis, no acknowledgement of his regression. But from the age of 18 months until right at 3, he declined so rapidly that he became a completely different child. He was self-injurious, so slamming his head into walls and floors, hitting, screaming, punching. If anything in his environment changed, it was a meltdown that could last anywhere from 3 minutes to 45 minutes, and you never know which one you were going to get.
Or what's going to set it off.
Or what's going to set it off. I mean, it could be as simple as me moving from this seat to that seat. I mean, it was unbelievable, and we lived on eggshells for years. And only recently, we've gotten him into intensive therapy, where he's in therapy 9 to 4 every day. And that has made a dramatic difference with him. We've been doing some biomedical treatments with him. That's helping.
Dietary changes?
Dietary changes. He's on reduced gluten working on getting completely gluten-free, but it's...
Sorry, I'm over here cringing. Reduced gluten. Ah, no, you got to get all the gluten out.
I know.
Including the hidden gluten.
It's a very challenging issue because he eats like 3 things. And that's another thing that happens.
But a lot of that can be, they get addicted to the gluten
They do,
and the casein.
they absolutely do.
Because it causes so much inflammation that it actually, they excrete like a opiate, like
right.
our body's reaction
it's
to pain.
So we've been finding substitutions slowly.
What are his choice foods?
Oh gosh, what aren't autistic children's choice foods? French fries,
chicken nuggets.
Yes.
Pizza.
He actually won't eat pizza. That's
really?
one thing.
Macaroni and cheese?
No, he won't eat that either. That's a texture thing for him. That would be easy to substitute out, but no, he won't do that. So it's about chicken nuggets, French fries. I've just recently gotten him to eat gluten-free zucchini bread. Okay, at least there's something hidden there.
Right.
But yeah, it's been a challenge.
She's fine.
That cover is going to go to shreds. Yeah.
Well, I did say if you started ripping things, that we would have to put a stop to it. I see. Now let's see what else do we have here the kids can play with.
Come here. Come on.
What else do we have?
Come on.
The football
Don't
helmet.
mind me.
I know this wouldn't be as exciting. If you were a boy, you'd be all about this stuff, right? What's up, girly? What's that? Football helmet. Ooh, that would almost fit on your head. Almost.
You know, that's another thing that's interesting to note, the difference between them. My son, his head circumference, his entire life has been like 98th, 99th percentile. Hers has been in like the 17th, 18th percentile.
So he's got a big head. My son has a huge head
very
too.
large head, which I found interesting. I don't know if that.
Did you get any vaccines while you were pregnant?
No.
Rogam?
Nope.
I got Rogam when I was pregnant. I think it damaged him, but.
Yeah, no.
No, I really think that our children, if they hadn't been damaged, would be the geniuses. It's almost like they're targeting the geniuses.
Yeah, I think.
Because look at how many kids that have autism are like, you know, savants. They have this splinter skill.
He has a memory like none other. So one of his favorite things to do is to watch movies. He can see them once, maybe twice, and he can remember minor details in them and act them out. And,
Yeah.
yeah. So, where were we? I don't know.
So I was asking you if he still had seizures, and you were talking about some of the things that you're doing. Let's move on to, first of all, obviously, I know I don't need to ask you if you would ever vaccinate again.
Not a chance.
Not even if there was like a pandemic.
No. I'm not afraid of anything that could be coming because I know that the body is equipped to handle it.
So wait a minute, you're not afraid of the measles?
No.
What about chickenpox?
I had chickenpox as a child, and yeah, it was a week of laying in bed out of school and watching movies. Nothing wrong with that.
What about polio?
Polio, no. I'm not afraid of it. It's just, it was such a small percentage of people that were permanently damaged by it, but that's the percentage that they focus on, and that's the percentage that when you hear polio, you're like, oh my god, iron lungs. Well, that's not the typical polio response. So I'm not afraid of it.
Do you have any advice or anything that you would say if you had, let's say you're encountered a friend, she tells you she's pregnant, or you meet a young mom that she's got a little one in the, you know, in the stroller or whatnot. What would you, if you had any advice for new parents, what would it be?
Read everything you can, and then some. Research is your friend. Doctors don't spend enough time on this stuff. They really don't. And also remember that your doctors work for you. So you get to make the rules, not them.
Yeah, you fire them, not the other way around.
Exactly. So I've had several friends that I have reached out to with this subject, and several who have since stopped vaccinating, because once you see the information, once you see the ingredients and the adverse reactions that come from it, you can't help but go, wait a minute, how is this okay? How is anybody okay with this? So, I mean, it's a rabbit hole, but it's one that can save your children's lives. So
Yeah.
we all do that.
I always tell people make sure you look at both sides, because nowadays they've got Google stacked against us. And, you know, if you go out looking for information on vaccines, chances are you're not going to get good information
Right.
from the you know, other side.
Whenever I talk to people who are skeptical or who are predominantly pro-vax, I always give them resources that are from CDC, from the National Institutes of Health, from all of the sites that they can't come back and say, well, that's just a blog, or that's not a reputable site. Well, CDC website, you can't refute that. That information's there. You just have to know how to find it. And once you do, then you just dive in. So, yeah, research both sides, but you'll see quickly that the other side is not based on anything that is factual. There is no science on this. The science is not settled. It never will be. But that's the basis of science. If you don't keep questioning, then you're not following through with what science truly is.
Science is never settled.
It's never settled.
Right. Do you have any advice for the mom who has just, or the mom and dad, or the dad, or the caregiver that has just received an autism diagnosis for their child?
Cry. It's okay to cry. Oh my gosh. I knew my son's diagnosis was coming, but it hit me like a freight train, speaking of in the background.
Yeah.
It's okay to cry. But once you get over that initial shock, dig in. Dig your heels in and fight.
Because no one else will advocate for your child like you.
No one else will advocate. No one will do the research for you. No one's going to sit there and tell you what treatments to try. You have to find them yourself. Because the reality is that the research on it is new. We're still learning new treatments. We're still learning new things to do for it. And you have to be on the forefront of that and be ready to basically get your online degree in medical care.
From Google University?
Yeah, I know people hate to hear that, but there's nothing wrong with going into your doctor and saying, hey, I found this, this, and this, and this. What can we do on this? How can we involve any of this into his treatment?
Right.
And if you have a good doctor, they're going to respect you for that. And
Right.
if you have a doctor that doesn't respect you, run.
That's right.
Run like your life depends on it, because your kid's life does depend on it.
Yes.
So we dove in head first when we got his diagnosis. Why?
Well, if it comes off, I want to take it off. It might not be supposed to come off, but I want to try anyway.
Yeah.
So what I want to do now is I'm going to turn the camera around and tell my peeps to get ready with the hearts, because I want you to see all the love, all the love that's coming in. All right, you guys, get ready with the hearts. So we've got some people on, and so I just wanted to give you a chance to.
Say hi,
I'm going to give you a big hug, and everyone's going to send you lots and lots of love.
see her necklace, Luna.
Do you see?
Hi, Luna.
Yes. Look, Luna, look at the hearts. Those are for you. Those are for you. Is that a pretty necklace? You like that necklace? I made that necklace. You like it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So we just want to let you know that that you're loved and you're not alone. There's a lot. Obviously, you know by now. There's a lot of us struggling with that. And I'm going to get you hooked up with some help.
Cool.
Okay,
Thank
we're going to
you.
get your son into the hyperbaric chamber.
Yes. I'm excited
Okay?
about that.
Anyone else in Georgia? We do have a hyperbaric center here in Georgia. It's one of the first in the country and the longest running. And we love to love on our families. So the first visit's always free.
Cool.
So if you're here in Georgia, please come see me. We're going to get you connected up with TACA. You know about TACA?
Yep.
Okay, we have a Georgia chapter here.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll give you lots of support and help. Yes. Yes. Have you got any last thing you want to say for the peeps?
Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
And research everything.
Yes. Research. What do you want to say?
Hi.
What are you going to say? Wow. Yes. Say vaccines are poison. Reject the poison.
Hey, look how healthy I am. And I don't have any.
All right, you guys, so I'm going to finish this one up, and we'll have another one coming up in a few minutes, all right? So stay tuned. We'll have another story coming up real soon. They don't taste as good as they look. I promise they don't. All right, bye, you guys.